Stop talking controversial topics.
Hair looks greatly. Oh. It's laying nicely today. I shouldn't say too much. I'm getting a little thin up top here.
Yeah.
Before we start, I guess I would just like to say good morning to Glenn. I know he's watching, so good morning, Glenn. Yeah.
I think Glenn's gonna enjoy this week.
It's gonna happen sooner or later.
They just didn't put the cut in the right place.
Yeah.
You're not cutting constantly. You can cut here 4 inches over and it's gonna crack over here. One thing about concrete.
It's gonna crack.
It's hard. It cracks.
Yeah.
And you can put as much stress or rig into it as you
Well,
wish.
this is ours. Yeah, but there's something that's.
Amazing what.
Okay, I'll check it out online here. I can't remember the insurance company. Was it?
Yep.
Yeah. Only they let us know. Yeah, which kind of did underneath that.
We'll figure it out. Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. I'm going to call this meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. It is Tuesday, November 16th, 2021, and I think it's my turn to lead this morning.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, just a reminder, if you have a cell phone, if you would silence it, please. If you need to take a call, step out, and we are streaming live on YouTube. Item number 2, call for public comment. We will still take items from the public of items that are not on the agenda, just for information only. The 2 numbers are 605-882-6248 or 882-6297. Conflict of interest items. Are there any for fellow commissioners that are on the agenda?
None. No.
All right, action to approve the November 16th,
So moved.
2021 agenda. Motion by Van Duzen,
Second.
second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the November 9th, 2021 minutes of the Board of Codington
So
County
moved.
Commissioners. Motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Waterman. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Monthly reports, we'll start out with our facilities manager, Steve. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. All right, we will start out with the government buildings. Currently, right now, the staff is stripping wax from the floors and re-waxing some floors. They started on the first level here and they are working now on ground level. Courthouse will be busy this coming week. Basically, my understanding, there's a couple court cases going on here, so they're right now, they were gonna have jury selection out at the extension building. They are now doing one jury selection here, and they're gonna see about if they need to do the other one here tomorrow or out at the extension building for the other selection. Detention center, just basically routine maintenance. They've been sterilizing cells daily due to some increased COVID cases over at the detention center. And I was just informed this morning that the guys will be coming in today to put in the new fob and camera system. It's starting today, so. Ag building auctions and meetings are generally on the schedule pretty well most of the time out there. Jordan Metcalf show next week, Saturday. Of course, that gets to be a mess because there's always a hockey tournament also. So hopefully we can alleviate some pains on that.
Part of that's parking, correct?
Correct. Parking is the major issue out there for that. All right, going on to park. This coming year, I handed you guys some sheets and so that right before you. Without Cindy knowing probably more of stuff if she's got everything. The reservation system took in $205,953.37. The
Point to sale.
yeah, there we go. Point of sale, which includes our wood and LP for tanks and stuff, was $5,176, giving a total this year of $211,129.37. I do know that I talked to Carol, and Carol said everything had balanced out on her end of the things the other day. So
Very good. In comparison to last year, do you have those numbers or?
I do not. I think it was like 190 some thousand, if I remember right, when I had stated, I think 195 to do somewhere in that
Okay.
that range.
Slight increase.
Slight increase. I will probably come to next month to propose new rates for 2023, plus also for looking at redoing a little bit on the reservation side of things. So going on to weed, attended district weed meetings this past month. And of course, Brenda had attended the one in Redfield, and so that being she's on the commission. One of there was topics that was head on. When we are there, we usually give our reports for what we have made applications in the year, how things had gone. Then state had gave on about the noxious weeds, the local, state and local noxious weeds of the change of the Russian knapweed taken off and the absent wormwood being put on the state list. Then.
And which one was removed then, Steve?
What's that?
What one was removed when they put them on?
The Russian knapweed was taken off the state noxious list and it's put on the local. Yep, and the absent wormwood, they did a reverse and switched. Due to the fact that Russian knapweed, they went out and did a survey. They're supposed to have been 5,000 acres and they couldn't find, they're not even 100 acres to be found. So that's one of the biggest reasons. And then also absent wormwood is on 44 of the counties that's on a local list. So it's a pretty major issue. So that's one of the main reasons why they switched that.
So our local producers need to take note of that because it's different. The
Yeah,
local ones.
it's local is different. The only biggest thing is we still yet as a county have to enforce those issues. The state does not really, they will help assist, but they're not the police to do that. We as the local still have to do the enforcement on them.
It's probably by complaint more so at this point.
Right.
Right.
Then we went through understanding reference manuals. Paul had gave on as we had how to read some of the reference manuals, where to look for things of different topics of the weeds, of different chemicals. And then they gave the criteria of the weed grants and so that for this coming year. And then
Think of that website that he gave us so you can look up all these weeds. Do you remember what that was?
no, I do not. I didn't write down the notes
I'll look.
on that.
Because
And-
it's South Dakota weeds.
And then the Department of Ag gave on some other weeds to kind of look out for. There's a few new weeds that's in the area. The one of them showed up a few years ago and it was kind of more or less handled. Now it's had a rebound again. It's a yellow. It's a yellow brome that's up in the Mitchell area. It's an invasive weed. And so then in the afternoon, they gave biocontrols of what was done this past year and how well and effective some of the biocontrols are. A couple of them have been having a hard time establishing for yellow toad flax. They did finally see some of the yellow toad flax, some biocontrol that was released about 3 years ago. They did find some now out in the hills. Certain areas just seem to be more adaptable for them to take a hold than other areas. And one of the things in the afternoon Paul gave on was smart or spray smart. One of the things there's main topics is get prepared, be prepared, and see what can you do and improve efficiency to be out there when you need to be out there. He also turned around and pointed out that in order to be effective, you need to go when the weather permits, no matter if it's on a Saturday. You need to run when you need to run. A lot of counties just strictly go by X amount of hours, and that is really inefficient. I know that the program here runs very well if we can run on a Saturday.
Yeah, weeds spraying is an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Correct. All right, and then, so for my report, and so we had this past year was 660 logged hours of spraying, 4,583 miles, 835 gallons of 2,4-D used, 377 gallons of Tordon, and then plus there's some miscellaneous of some milestone and glyphosate or Roundup. So that was used. The one thing that's really a big topic that was brought out at the district meetings, and that is chemical prices and availability. They are predicting that 2,4-D could reach $18 a gallon by spring.
And what is it currently?
Currently, right now, as of yesterday, it was $14.89.
But what did we buy it for?
We purchased it
Contract price.
Yeah.
contract price, so and so but they are not guaranteed that we will get bids next spring because of the fluctuation.
Right, but what was our contract price? Do you remember?
A 9 something
Yeah.
and stuff,
So it's gone crazy. And then they have some on hand now, but yeah, you don't know.
They have some on hand. I did turn around and was looking at my budget, and I did order a tote of 2,4-D to get some on hand. It's bad at this time. I did ask about the Tordon. He thought the Tordon might be a little bit more stable than the 2,4-D. The understanding of the 2,4-D is they're looking at the ag industry will be taking a bulk share of that 2,4-D. And they're going to allocate most of it to the ag industry. And of course, that's where the money is to be made. So
Shifting a lot of the genetics so that you can use more 2,4-D rather than the Tordon or the Dicamba or any of these.
but the thing of it is I have helped out Paul on a lot of these plots and tests and stuff. And 2,4-D for most part is only about 50% effective on one application. You let it go and you're back to ground zero again the following year. That's how. And with the Tordons and the milestones, you'll get about between 80 to 90% control for at least 2, possibly 3 years on bad areas. So as long as you're applying to the rate that is
What did you say the
suggested.
effectiveness was for 2,4-D?
About 50%.
50%.
Yeah, it's very consistent. I mean, I've done enough plots with 2,4-D. Yeah, it's about 50%. It's about max.
Which if you add manpower and time it takes to go out and spray it twice.
Right.
Stuff,
And that's one thing that Paul
is cost
suggests.
effective.
That's why Paul suggests is if you're in a program that you really kind of need to be tight don't be skimping on like the Tordana or the milestones,
Mhm.
because your long-term effectiveness will be cheaper in the long run. By the time you take your labor and everything in effect. And then going on with West Nile, I had sent in the papers and so that for getting their grant refund and so that on that, which was $5,000 for the grants this year.
That was that was a maximum amount.
Yep. And then I'll go on to the topic. In the last month, besides attending that, I attended the South Dakota Glacial Lakes annual meeting here in Watertown. Of course, Lee is on.
Tourism.
on
Yeah,
the-
Glacial Lakes
yep.
Prairie Tourism Board.
Yep, he's on the board and so that, and which was really well, I thought it was very good and so that, a lot to learn on that side of things. And another thing is I went to Safety Benefits Conference and I had attended, was at the meeting. I left the meeting from Redfield, went there, so I didn't get in on any of the sessions in the afternoon. But the following day I went to a session on claims, and one of the biggest things they say is take notes all the time. Just notes, document.
Mhm.
And then for the speakers there, and so we did a mock trial of somebody that they gave an example of somebody that was with the COVID related stuff, that the person lost the job due to the fact because they have health related issues and didn't want to be accustomed to it. So they gave the example of them leaving and wanting to get refunded because of not having to leave, getting some money back. And they went on with it and stuff back and forth. And they said, well, and then somebody said, well, what would be the results? And they said, well, it would actually go and get can't get to think of the right terminology. It would actually turn around and go back to court again, be appealed. And so it can be a long drag out process on some of those work related items. And then we had a speaker. So we had his name. He's from Texas. His name is Tony Crow. He is a gentleman that worked at a facility, a power plant down in Texas. And first thing that when he had started when he was younger and so that was safety. But his whole thing is the safety is just not at the workplace. It's also at home. He gave the example, he lost his eyesight when he was hunting. He had gone out hunting with his son and they were wearing complete camo. And when they were on their road trip to there, they had met some guys that was going, they were colored, they had yellow or orange on. He told his son, they're city slickers. And then when they were out there, he turned around and he told his son that he was going to walk down the fence line and then come back. And he got sidetracked and did not. And some birds flushed up and his son had shot and shot him in the face. So that, and one of the things about this gentleman, so that they said that if he would have had safety glasses on that day, he could have saved his eyes. So that's where he said safety besides wearing orange. His son to this day now is a professional guide. So, and safety is a big issue for his son. One of the things that he more talked about in the blind, but now I can see it's mostly about the dog that I seen dog that he had for 8 years and 2 months. And this dog he was his eyes. I mean, he was with him 24 hours a day. So one of the things I got this book because when I was walking around, his wife had noticed me and said to the safety benefits guys that asked because of my loss of my arm, he was going to talk about a subject about a lady with a lost arm and if I would be affected by it. And I turned around and I had said, no, I would not. So she had gave me a book. So that for helping that. So.
Yeah, things happen.
That's just a good reminder. for our folks as hunting season gets fired up.
Yep,
here.
especially with, we
Take
got
those
East River
precautions.
starts this coming weekend, so.
Mhm.
The bow stops now, right? When the gun comes. Because that's kind of a
I
dangerous
don't think
situation.
so. I think the bow, I don't know how that works
They've been
exactly.
on for quite a while. The bull has.
They've been going,
Okay,
yeah, but I
yeah.
don't know if they
Those
can't do it
hunters.
then once the gun starts, but
I'm
that's
not,
kinda
I'm not
dangerous.
that big of a hunter, so I don't know that.
Just be careful out in the fields.
Yep.
Seems like
Yeah.
every year we have an accident or two, and we hopefully won't have that happen this year.
so this weed identification is kind of a cool site. So it's preen.com to get specific, and then you put in your state, and it has all the weeds, and then you can click on it. It will show you the pictures and kind of gives an explanation. It's loading. Yeah, so it's kind of a cool site. If you have a weed and you want to identify it,
Spell it again. Preen.
preen.com. That's a product,
Green
but
is yeah, that's a one that's commonly used in the flower gardens.
yeah.
Yep,
And these were kind of flower ones, but I think you can get specific. Noxious weeds, South Dakota South Dakota Weed ID, identify which weeds grow where you live, but it's kind of sponsored by Preen. So anyway, that's it. Learning all kinds of things about weeds that I had no idea. Yep.
all right.
Now we can talk the talk with Steve. All right.
Great.
Any other questions for him?
Thanks.
Thanks for your report.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh, I was gonna ask, so when you're stripping those, like when you wax, when are you waxing the floors? Like when you're going to plan on doing that?
That will be done either nights or weekends.
Okay, and you let everybody know so that
I
nobody's
will let,
walking in
yeah, I will
on.
let everybody know. Yeah,
Right,
so that, yes.
yeah, you don't want people tracking up your nice new.
No,
waxed
no, I
floors.
kind of look back in history to find out if anything was sent before and nothing was in the past. I went into
Yeah,
all
it
the
was.
sent files. I.
It was
couldn't
there.
find nothing. Okay.
Well, I don't know, but yeah, Milo did let us know because
Okay.
we're in here lots of times on the
Okay.
weekends, so.
Or you got
All right.
people popping in and you
Yep.
never know, so just
Okay.
don't want to mess up your nice wax
Yep,
floors.
all right, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, item number 7, discussion regarding request for release of county liens. Cindy. Since I
We
have-
had the father of a juvenile defendant came in. The juvenile had court-appointed attorney liens and incurred some other costs for court-ordered exams. And the total that was paid by the county is $3,050. The parent is asking that the county forgive those liens due to his inability to pay at the time they were incurred, and he indicated that he still has the inability to pay. So I guess I need to know how he wanted the request presented to the board. I guess I need to know how you want to proceed. Normally, the county does not forgive liens
Mm-mm.
for court-appointed attorneys. The county has taken a policy and has authorized me to accept compromise payment in full of 70%. So I could tell the person making this request that if they can make a one-time payment of 70% of the total $3,050, then the county would release the lien.
What was the date that this occurred on?
Second, let me look here.
It was
and so it has
I
to-
mean, dating back to when this,
To when the
Yeah.
liens were incurred.
yeah.
Let me look.
So it has to be a one-time payment though, if there's a
Yeah,
compromise. It can't
if you're gonna compromise for 70%, you have to pay that
in one.
in one time. You can't do payments.
Otherwise, they can make payments to the
Um,
county over a
looks
time.
like 2017. And 2014. And there was never any attempt to make any type of
And
payment.
neither one of them has the ability to pay for this, or?
Well, the juvenile, I mean, the defendant was a juvenile. We cannot go after that person, even though they're
Even after they reach,
correct.
okay,
Nope, they incurred the liens when they were a juvenile. We cannot go after them. We file the lien against the legal parents. So I guess I need to know how you want, do you want me to send some kind of correspondence out?
Well, it seems to me that since it's not on the agenda for action, that if,
Right.
if the standing policy is for you to do a 70% one-time payment settlement with, I guess in this case, it would be the parents, then
Yeah,
okay.
I,
Otherwise, if he wants to push it, then
Right.
let the state's attorney give us, give us a rundown and weigh all the factors involved.
okay,
That's what I would suggest. So,
Along with that, though, I think that if they've not made any attempt to reimburse the county, in this, we're talking about what, 6, 7 years now? Maybe should be suggested that they come in and set up some kind of a payment schedule so that we would have something that we would expect.
So that would be then, we wouldn't compromise. if
That
we're
would be
gonna do that.
100%.
That would be
payback.
100%.
100%. It'd be either that or the.
and I
100%.
believe the individual is trying to buy some property, and that's
Yeah.
what
That's
the
what that
hang up is, so.
So they have to have that lien release.
We would have to have the whole amount paid in order to release the lien, so they can,
So would the 70% compromise one-time payment, that would release the.
That would
that would
Release it.
release the
Yeah.
lien, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
The realtor would like to see this release so he can make his, so they can complete this sale.
Well, that's speculation, Charlie. I don't
I
think we need to go
realize
there,
that,
but
that's speculation.
This
So
is-
we just
this
need
is
to
somebody-
decide. I guess we can't take action on it. Do we want to try to get the 70% or just leave it at
and that
that?
is our policy,
I mean, I'd say abide by the current policy.
Okay.
Unless,
Yeah.
that's what I would.
and I can send a correspondence out
I would agree with that, Lee.
reviewing the policy, and
If that's what we typically have done, I guess
Yeah.
why,
if they don't agree with that, then I can bring it back to you. You can take formal action to deny the request, I guess,
sounds good.
at that time. All right.
See how that plays out.
How often does this have to be renewed, Cindy? Or is it permanent?
You gave me authorization quite some time ago. There's
Mhm.
nothing that needs to be renewed to my
Okay.
knowledge, so, yeah.
Guess it's if we ever want to change the policy, that's all it would be, but. All right, item number 8, action to approve claims for payment.
I have nothing for 8, 9, or 10.
All right, then item number 11, action to approve travel requests.
And this is one that our veteran service officer talked to you about previously. It's a Department of Veterans Affairs mini training conference in Sioux Falls. And it is a one-day event. He will have mileage. No, sorry, I was wrong. He put his time in military time, so
I know.
it threw me there.
It
His
does me
dates in
too.
military time. It is an overnight trip, so there is lodging. I was looking at the
How do you
wrong
read that?
end of the, yeah, so he will have lodging and meals. Looks like it's about a $400 expense. And I believe this is an annual training that is put on that our VSOs
Motion
have
also.
attended.
I move to approve.
Second.
All right,
Oh,
motion by
sorry.
Gable, second by Van Duzen. Any other comments, questions?
Just want to say that Todd was right. We mentioned before that he was a South Dakota new VSO
Mm-hmm.
of the year. He was recognized at the Veterans Day ceremony too. So
Yeah, it's good for them to go to this training. There's things, a
It'd be
lot of
nice if
things.
we
that
had a
change.
new van for him to travel down.
Helps.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, that motion carries. Public notices, a possible quorum of commissioners. So this Thursday is the Farm Business Appreciation Banquet at Studio 212, former Shopko building. Any other events that there could be a quorum of us at? Government affairs,
Government affairs.
interagency on
Interagency
Thursday.
on
Yep, that-
Thursday. I'm doing a JDA meeting this afternoon, but I think I'm doing it.
And I got LEPC and so, okay.
I need to talk to you about that.
That should cover all those then. Old
No.
business, any old business? How about new business?
Couple of things for the agenda next Tuesday, and then note that we don't meet on the 30th of November. We do have 2 change orders to approve for the Hall Road restoration project. You'll remember those are not our funds that we are spending. They are the funds of the Hall Road or the Wind Tower people. We also will be taking action to reappoint the Veteran Service Officer. I got a letter from the Veterans Affairs, and I'm just assuming that the last time you appointed Al Jansen, this would be I think it's a 4-year appointment. So even though Todd has not been here for 4 years, in
It's
order
the
to keep the
same.
The
cycle.
term is up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that'll be on the agenda next week. And then we will also be approving liquor license renewals for county liquor licenses. And to my knowledge, there have been no violations for these businesses. And that'll be on next week's agenda.
Very good. We did have our Sioux Valley Commissioner Association meeting, which, sorry, Troy, was well attended, good information. The main topic always is those ARPA funds. So I think Brookings went to a little bit more of a length of kind of how or their direction. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that, but I think we're kind of advised just to hold tight because there will be maybe new changes and more flexibility. So we'll
Yeah,
just kind of,
that has to do with some legislation
Yeah.
in Congress that might give us a bit more flexibility on the ARPA, how to use the ARPA funds.
Yeah.
So
so no big rush because we don't need to expend it till what, 26? We have 24 to designate and then 26 to spend. So
Madam Chair,
Yes.
You might have heard Kerry Johnston on the radio yesterday talking about the approved regional facility.
Yep.
So that's something Brenda and I at least have been talking, maybe she's been talking to other commissioners about, how the county might support that. So that's something we need to be thinking about. I thought about it for the ARPA funds, but on the other hand, I think Commissioner Ham is right that we probably want to wait for this legislation to happen because it might allow us to, I guess, handle things more easily if we're going to support another agency.
Yes.
And that, that's just a thought, but just so people know what the ARF is that HSA is looking at, people know that Serenity Hills is going to be closing because that property was sold. So I can't remember the date when that's supposed to happen, but now they need to build a facility and something that's been in need for a long time because there's only one safe room right now. So if somebody with a mental illness issue gets encountered by law enforcement, sometimes it's a lot better to put a person in a safe room as opposed to taking them to jail. So this would increase that capacity from one safe room to 4 safe rooms. But that's probably the big savings for the county, but there's also a halfway house component and a detox facility in that. So this is something that could, I think, help our county a lot. It's going to obviously save transport miles for our deputies because the county is responsible for taking people that need to go to the HSC in Yankton. It's not the city, it's the county. So this is something for us to think about.
Maybe it would be nice to have Carrie here to
Yes,
give
we are going to have her.
a discussion on
Yep.
this to the whole entire commission.
Yep.
So that
That
the
was
rest
the
of us are
plan.
on.
Just wanted
on
to
board.
bring it up that's
Okay.
what our direction is going to be. Just didn't know. We needed to find out more about these ARPA funds, which now at the meeting and through Chris Jacobson, holding off on that, there may be other places in our budget that we'd be able to do some
Yeah,
support.
yeah.
So rather than doing the ARPA funds and then you do all of that reporting. So
Yeah.
anyway, we will have her come. She wants to come and
She's got
in
pictures.
yeah, show everybody what they're doing. So whenever you want us to put it on the agenda and she will be happy to
I
come
think it
in.
might, yeah.
So maybe
See if we can
the
do
sooner
this
the
year.
better.
Yeah.
So I'll let her know,
From the
maybe,
dollar side, I mean, it's good for the county. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
just the travel and
yeah.
the expense. And the other part is, do we pay anything for the safe room at the Serenity? We were involved in,
Yeah.
and we contribute to that every year, don't we? You
Yes.
remember what that number is? I can't.
Or is that within our HSA contribution?
No.
No.
It's a separate one.
yeah.
I think it's a budgeted item, isn't it?
And we did contribute when that was put in. I don't know what that amount was, but how
Yeah.
to. Kind of have an idea, but I'm not gonna say.
Because that's gonna disappear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and it's,
and now there'll be 4.
in the long run, it's
Safe
going to be, quadruple that capacity and,
Well, Troy, as a, former police officer, that safe room was,
Oh, yeah,
huge.
it's, it's very important. And there was times that, we would have 2, 3 people
Mhm.
stacked up that
Yes,
we had no place to take them because
Yeah.
the safe room was full. So,
and the only other
This will be
option is
nice.
jail, and that's not the
Mhm.
place for them in that
Right.
situation. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's will be,
So we
Okay.
do budget for the mental health center, just over 67,000. ATCO, just over 4,200, and then the halfway house, just under 18,000 is what we budgeted
Yeah.
for pay 2021.
so with that going away,
So what portion of that would go away?
that's.
17, just about 18,000. But I need to look and see what they did.
But in
for next year's
2022,
budget.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they handled that, so let me look.
Not sure either. She would have had it in or knowing this was coming up.
I believe they did know, but
Yeah, I think it was kind of in the works. I don't know if they had their. okey-doke.
actually they budgeted 18,482 for pay 2022
So,
For the half,
for the halfway house, yes. Yep,
I don't remember the date when that's when they need to be.
right, and I think that's why it got set up this way, just because.
mental health halfway house at 42920.
Yep, there was nothing definite for a timeline.
Yeah, because they didn't know, I don't know at the time we had to have this done or when they were preparing it, if they were
Yeah.
even going to get that award from the state or something that came up. So, all right, well, I will get a hold of Carrie then and have her get on the agenda in the next week or two, whatever. Well, it would have to be next week because then we don't meet the 30th, correct?
Correct.
So,
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
one other note, just that people know that we were in the search for a new emergency management emergency manager, management director. So that listing is on the county website. There's links to apply to through Indeed or through the county.
When is the
So
closing date for that?
it
I've
is
had a
gonna
couple
be
phone
the
calls from people.
23rd.
Yeah, it's not too long.
It's the
Oh,
20
it's 24th,
I think it's 24.
The 24th,
24th,
yeah, it is the 24th, day before
because
Thanksgiving.
I did have somebody ask me that, so.
Yep.
I've had a few phone calls
Yeah,
too.
24th. Yeah.
24th
How about the clerk of courts position? That's appointed by the state.
state.
That's a state, yep.
And we have no input in that at all, do we?
Mm-mm.
Not that, we never have, let's just
Yeah.
put it that way. They are state employees, so it's handled by the circuit court.
All right. Any other comments for the open?
Can I ask a question, getting back to that EM direct, what's the rush on the closing date? That's only, today's the 16th, we're talking just a week.
Well, Jamie's last day will be the 2nd, so I guess it's the quicker we can kind of get through that and get into the process of hiring and
That doesn't give us much time to reach out to people statewide.
well, it's on Indeed. I guess we'll see what, we've had quite an interest already, so
Okay.
there's been quite a few. All right, so I don't have a need for an executive session. Does anyone else?
Nope, move to adjourn.
All right, motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, that motion carries.